Okay then, hello and welcome to Disability in Fiction on WordCamp. This is one of our disability workshops, disability writing workshops that we run as Skill Camp. And essentially, we talk about writing disabled characters and the best way of doing that. Disabilities are often misrepresented, and we want to help correct that and, sort of make it more realistic, make it so that it's respectful of people who actually live with disabilities and things like that. People of any age, gender, religion, race, or socioeconomic background can be disabled, and that's not represented in the media. And so, one of the things that we want to do is have more intersectionality. So, you might have a character who's black and disabled, for example. And so that's something that's quite important to us. Disability is the only minority you can suddenly become a part of. You can't suddenly become white or, well, that's not a minority. You can't suddenly become black or, so on. And so, that can be incorporated into a plot, into a story, that transition from able-bodied to disabled. And so you can have, you can do things like that with your stories. There are so many different plot lines that you could give to a disabled character. In order to make sure this workshop goes well, we ask that everyone's respectful to all people. We won't tolerate insults, but questions are welcome of all kinds. Questions can often be very personal, but that's allowed. They might be quite like medical or quite gory, sort of. So, all that is allowed as long as it's done in a respectful way. And remember that we're all here to learn and improve. There are 5 types of disabilities for the purposes of this workshop: physical, intellectual, sensory, and hidden disabilities, and mental health. All are equally welcome. This is disability in fiction, where we help writers, particularly novel writers, write fiction novels or short stories and things like that. And it runs 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. British every other Saturday. And then disability in screenwriting will be next week, when we do a similar thing but for screenplays. It looks like most of the people here are screenwriters, so it may end up being a disability in screenwriting session just on WordCamp instead. Don't forget that we have the disability feedback channel where we can post things during the week for people to review. And we also have prompts that we do, writing prompts. So we had one this week. I don't think many people did it, so we'll take a quick look. And just a reminder that this is a safe space for all of us to talk about any aspects of disability, which means we are open to discussing sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including mental health, addiction, trauma, and abuse. You're welcome to leave at any point if things get too heavy for you. Your mental health and emotional well-being always take priority over your attendance. All that being said, is there anyone who would like to start us off this session and just talk about an issue maybe that they've been struggling with? And while we wait for that type of question, if there are any disabled writers here, it is also the secondary purpose of this session is a writers group for disabled people. So if you're a disabled person, maybe you don't have a question about disability, but maybe you just want to talk about your project, you're more than welcome to do so.
So I don't have a question about something I'm working on, but I recently watched a video that I understand what it's trying to say, but I kind of disagree with it, and kind of want to see your guys' opinions. And it's basically that why does it matter if we have representation? Why do you need someone? Why do you need a character to look like you or be like you? Or why does a character need these specific characteristics to be relatable? And honestly, I think that is a good question. They are missing some big things to it. But like, for example, you can relate to, like, going with like the Disney princess movies, you can relate to Tiana even if you're not Black. You can relate to Mulan even if you're not Chinese. But then why is it still important to have Black characters, Chinese characters, disabled characters? So I'm asking just an open-ended question of why you think it is important, so important to have good representation in media.
Okay. Anyone want to answer this?
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly about this because I've seen a lot of debate about it. I think a lot of it's misguided. Representation matters a lot because not just the whole like seeing yourself in media aspect. I think that is, it's cool, but also that's not the only reason that we ought to have characters in media that are part of like minority groups and such. And I think one of the main reasons that we should is just as like a reminder, not only that these people exist, but that these people are people. We often like discount, uh, especially when it comes to like like disabilities. Unfortunately, we tend to forget that these are still people. And I think that seeing them portrayed as such in media can help us to kind of remove that like dehumanizing stigma from a lot of it demystifies it in some sense. And I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I could have said it better myself. Yeah, I think that people do forget that other people are just as real and just as have their own feelings, particularly disabled people. So, for example, if you have someone who is non-verbal, maybe they have autism or something else that makes them unable to speak, a lot of people think that because they're not able to speak, they're not as intelligent, which isn't true. And having representation of a non-verbal person, for example, helps other people to see, oh, I was wrong. I had this misconception. It was completely wrong. And that sort of thing. Yeah. Anyone else?
I think those are great comebacks. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that I mean it is changing. Disability is being seen more in TV and film. Even just I saw a movie. What did I see yesterday? I can't remember. Oh, it was Black Mirror. There's episode 1 of series 6, I think. And we're just going along like an office, watching the main character. But in the background, there is an office worker sitting in a wheelchair. That office worker says absolutely nothing, has no importance to the story as a whole. And yet, just seeing that person there it helps bust the myth that disabled people can't work. So just having like really tiny things like that. I mean, it probably wasn't even written in the script, but just like showing that is important to help, myth bust. Anyone else got any comments about this?
I do like that you brought up the point of the background characters and say this is actually something I've kind of wondered about, because I have noticed in more like wide group shots that show I don't know, like just the random group shots of like people dancing. I noticed it particularly in the Descendants movies. At least in the first 2, I never saw the third one. But there is someone in the wheelchair, and she's never spoken to. She's never kind of at the forefront. But like in all the dance groups and whatnot, she is there, dancing with the group. So
Yeah, again, just having that as a background character. I'm just taking a look at the link that Zach sent. Yeah, let me see if I can share this link. Give me a second. I've lost it. Oh, there we go. No, that is a black screen. That is not what I wanted. There we go. Okay. So Never Have I Ever. This is a Netflix hit that lets us represent Tamil culture. And this is what I assume this is one of the actors. I assume. There's a fulfillment, a feeling that you're not alone and you're reflected somewhere. So that's another reason, why it's important to be represented. Oh, I wanted to zoom into the text. Kind of works, whatever. Each character gets given the space, background, and history, usually reserved for the lead. So each character, even if they're, I think the way we could apply this to disabilities, even the side characters, even those who have disabilities, they get the same amount of character, the same amount of personality, and history, and all these things. Viewers don't normally get to know these characters of color as well as they do the white lead.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but is anyone else's screen black?
Oh no!
Yeah, on the stream, yeah.
Okay.
I see the mouse, but I don't see anything. But it's just over a black screen, and I know you're moving it like you're reading something.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you're trying to share a thing.
That is me being an idiot. Sorry. Why can't things just be easy sometimes? Change window. Right, hopefully you can see now. There we go. Sorry. Yeah. So this is the article that Zach sent from BBC News. We have so many diverse storylines with the cultural aspects, LGBTQ plus storylines, and disability. So yeah, that's just a few actresses talking about why it's important to have representation. The link is in the chat that Zach sent. But yeah, thanks for sending that, Zach. Let's open up the floor again. Zach had a question. You mentioned able-bodied to disabled, not fully abled. What? Oh, okay. I have a character I've been working on for a while with only one arm, but he loses his arm. How is the best way to showcase his mental problems? Like, I don't know how the mental side of things would impact a person. Does their whole personality change when they're forced to be different, for want of a better word? Okay, so, does anyone have any ways to help? It's probably traumatic to lose a limb. Yeah, it definitely can be. Yeah, I would say that... Go, Dan.
I don't know if this is on topic as an issue, and I didn't mean to cut you off while we were talking about the trauma side of this, but phantom limb syndrome, I've heard of it. I don't really know anything about it, but and I should, because I too have a character with a missing limb, but they have a prosthetic robot arm, a futuristic robot arm. So the aspect of them that's, well, I've talked about that before, so I don't want to talk about it again.
If I may chime in, sorry again, Joel. The phantom limb syndrome, I believe, is only after you've just had the limb severed, if you haven't had like the nerve endings what's it called, like properly taken care of by like doctors and such.
Okay. I'm not sure how true that is. Hang on. Right,
yeah, I could be wrong.
Let's do one at a time. give me a minute. 1 minute for phantom limb. But before we talk about phantom limb, let's go back to the losing the arm and what that would do psychologically. So, phantom limb would be one of the things. But other things. So, I don't know how your character losing an arm, if it's like if it's traumatic or if it's like it happens quite quickly and violently maybe, or if it's I don't know, lost to cancer. The different psychological responses would be very different. It gets chopped off by a gangster. Okay, so this is quite violent and quite quite traumatic. So there's a fair chance that they would have some degree of PTSD and some sort of maybe flashbacks, maybe nightmares, possibly paranoia. There's different ways that someone could respond psychologically in that way. It might be quite mild, quite severe, or debilitating. Yeah, PTSD is a disability. It can be very debilitating. We definitely count that. Yeah. So with PTSD, you might get, it's very well known that you get flashbacks, but there's other comorbid disorders like depression and anxiety and, these sorts of things. Let me see if I can find some resources. So yeah, there might be, so according to the NHS, re-experiencing is part of it, so that's the flashbacks, the nightmares, repetitive and distressing images and so on. You might have avoidance and emotional numbing, so sort of a sort of disconnect from the remembering the event. So you might actually avoid certain people that you associate with the event or certain places. So sort of, trying to not think about it. You might be feeling on edge. And sort of, looking for, constantly being over aware of possible threats. And, hyper aware, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, there are other comorbidities such as depression, phobias, and so on. So that's on PTSD. Willow is sending some. Footless Joe is a YouTuber who lost her lower leg, and she does a lot about phantom limb and that sort of thing. How she's recovering from that. So hopefully that's helpful. But yeah, I had some resources on phantom limb once. Not sure where they are now. But I remember reading up about it, and it surprised me how many people can get phantom pain, phantom limb. An estimated 8 out of 10 people who lose a limb will experience some degree of phantom pain. So yeah, about 80%. So there are lots of things that can cause phantom limb, and there are lots of risk factors. So, like things that will make it worse potentially, which include physical touch, smoking, stress, changes in temperature, and things like that. And the types of pain you can feel as well can vary from burning to sort of like a stabbing pain. I think stabbing pain, or a sort of like a pinching or a clamping sort of pain. So you can get, or just itching. Sometimes it might, if you lose your lower leg, you might feel your foot itching, which obviously you can't really do anything to relieve. So phantom pain can definitely be very varied. So yeah, I will send you this link as well. I feel like that was all given in a bit of a mess. If you want me to clarify anything, I just ask and I can try.
So, I've watched a lot of Footless Joe's videos, and she's talked a fair bit about phantom sensations. Now I have a hard time going through and finding specific videos, because she has made a lot of videos. but like something that she has mentioned is pain is lifelong. It's not something that lasts for like a year or two or something. Like there are things that might be able to trigger it or something or affect it, but if someone does have phantom limb pain, they will likely have it for the entirety of their life. But some of the other things she mentioned now, for her foot was amputated, and then her calf muscle was kind of flipped over the residual part of her leg. And so she talks about how funny it is how even though she doesn't have a foot anymore, she can still wiggle her toes. She those same muscles and those same feelings, like she still kind of sort of has them, but it's a bit different and just kind of funny and weird. She can scratch one part of her leg and it feels like she's scratching her calf because that it is kind of the same muscle and the same skin and whatnot. So like not all of it is bad when talking about like phantom limb pain and such. It's not necessarily all it's about. There are actually some kind of more fun and intriguing things that you can do with the phantom limb sensation. Yeah, so she's someone I really recommend watching. She can be a bit funny and lighthearted. She does get serious at times, but the way that she describes these things is very interesting and learn a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. She's one of the content creators I'd recommend. Thanks for sharing, Willow. Let's open up the floor again to anyone who has any questions about disability other than disabled people who want to talk about their projects. You're welcome to do so.
I am a bit more interested in the part that's like mental health because it's sometimes difficult to explain or to portray how these things make you feel. You gotta be like really creative with it. For example, I myself have depression and a slight psychosis I'm getting treated by. And I feel the world in one way. And in general, I don't know how to portray characters like that. I try to portray characters more similar to my brother, that he has autism.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I kind of have trouble portraying like how I understand how he feels because he has like autism and stuck.
Mm-hmm.
But it's difficult to portray it, and I don't know how some people do it because it's like difficult to portray the whole like experience. I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be very difficult to portray a whole condition, and a lot of movies don't do it. But I think as long as you're trying to show the whole condition, that's already a good sign. I mean, in terms of writing a character, what I always say is make sure you're doing your research and you're hearing from lots of different people. Not just speaking to one person because each person will be different. But I'm not too concerned that you won't do a good job in terms of your research. Do you mind me asking what specifically you're struggling with?
Mainly I'm struggling with like showing PSD with a character I did. Because I don't want to be like everything depending on like the flashbacks and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know depression is part of it, so I kind of have a background with it, so I mostly know how that feels, but there are other parts that I don't know how to portray them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so again, I'd say take a look into PTSD and the different symptoms that there are. So, for example, there's the you've got the mental health issues like the depression. You've got I assume you've got flashbacks, and then there's the other sort of avoidance and the feeling on edge. Again, just making sure that you're listening to lots of people with the condition and sort of understanding. So I know for me and also for Willow, when we're looking into a condition, we, often are looking at people on social media who have the condition and trying to listen to a variety of people so that we can, almost be inspired by their experiences, and that helps us to form a character. That might be something that helps. Is there a scene maybe that you want to share so that we can help with that maybe? I'm not sure if that would help me.
Right now I haven't written scenes with this character. I'm kind of building it.
Okay. Yeah, so what was the incident that gave him the PTSD? Do you want to talk a bit about that?
He was like abandoned when he was young, and then he was snatched by some scientists that did a lot of research on him while he was mostly awake. So he's like traumatized with all this and has like this idea that if he doesn't do things right, he's gonna get punished, like he was punished while he was being researched on.
Yeah. Okay. There's something you said. He worries that if he doesn't do something right, is that sort of like an OCD sort of thing, or is that just, you know?
I would say it is a bit OCD.
Yeah. So that OCD can be linked to trauma in a way. So yeah, I feel like I'm not sure how much I can help until, we've got a scene to review. Unless anyone else has any ideas, any ways to help.
I was gonna say, I mean, there are different types of like PTSD. Are you thinking more kind of like the ones veterans experience, or since the kid or since they're getting like kidnapped and stuff, is it more kind of like what's what are they called? Human trafficking victims experience type of PTSD?
More like human trafficking or like child abuse.
I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
PTSD is PTSD. There's not like different types. Or, I mean, you can get different severities, but there's not only different. You can't get different types of PTSD from different traumas.
how to get it. Well, I just meant like maybe different triggers and stuff. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so there is a CPTSD, which tends to happen from repeated abuse or repeated trauma, sorry. So you might have, if you have a child abuse victim who's sustained abuse for a long period of time, they might get CPTSD. I'm not sure if that's something that your character would experience. CPTSD. So CPTSD or complex PTSD is you develop from chronic or long-term trauma, and it's similar to PTSD, but there's a few additional symptoms. So let's try and find it. So they're more likely to have personality disorders alongside it, difficulties with regulating their emotions, difficulties maintaining relationships, and things like that. So that's how CPTSD tends to be different from PTSD. I will send you the site. No, that's the wrong one. There we go. But from what it sounds like to me, I think that they might just have PTSD. Just because, well, I mean, I might be wrong. But just because it sounds like it's one, well, not one, but it's not long-term trauma. I don't know how many years they were in that situation. But if it was long-term, it'd be CPTSD probably.
At least as I built it, for now, his backstory, it was kind of a long-term thing. Since he was taken like when he was like 5 years old, and he been in that place ever since. He's now like 26.
Okay. Oh yeah, so this is long-term trauma. So yeah, that might well be CPTSD, again depending on how badly he was treated. Yeah. And so is your story going to be him escaping from his abuse?
Part of his arc is going to be that, because he's like an antagonist at first. Like they use him to go against the protagonists of my story, because he also was gaslighted a lot when he was a child.
Okay. Any thoughts on that for anyone?
Wait, what was the question?
So just sort of a response to, is there any, a response to like the antagonist is a person with PTSD, and they're being forced into, going against the protagonist by the abusers. I think is that right, Michikita?
Yes. Yes, that's kind of the idea. He's not going to be like he's gonna be more like a Zuko type antagonist. He's in a moment going to be on the protagonist side, like more in the middle of the series.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning, he is going to go against them.
Okay.
Is this a show idea?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I'm confused about what the question is, or like what we're commenting on. Really, like what about this is like the subject of the
Well, no, was there anything
conversation.
you wanted to say, maybe?
Well, I'd be interested in hearing more specifics, like what his skill sets are, like what kind of lies they told him and what he believes, and that can help identify what his triggers might be and such, and how to go about his uh, like I want to understand more of the role that he plays. So you said that these people kidnapped him from a young age. They trained him up, or this like he's trained up to be a super fighter kind of thing, or um uh what exactly does he do specifically?
Well, he's from like a group of people that live in the forest and had like this tradition that certain babies are born from one of the people within this group and one of their like deities that are like spiritual forest beings. And he in particular was one of these children. There are many between them, but he in particular was one of these children, and they have like this abilities to mix with nature more clearly than other people. They can like use nature on their side, and they like the head scientist of this world has decided that he needs more people from these groups to create like a drug or something, drug and new renewable energy through people that maintains them in this like clean energies world they live in, because it's solar punk. And what they did is they experimented on him, and afterwards they trained him to like help them win a war they want to start with all these other people. Like the technological world, most of them don't have powers or magical abilities, but the people from the forest and the people from the plains do. So they trained some of these children they stole and to go against their own people. So they will have an advantage at winning the war and then be able to take as many children as they want or as many people as they want to create this new like renewable energy. But they convinced him through the years that he was abandoned by his family, not that they took him from his family, and that they took him in, and that those people did that like always with their children. That's why he's not the only one that is there. There are more children that are being trained. And they all kind of believe that they love them, that the scientists love them instead of their families loving them.
Okay, that gives me a much clearer idea of uh like who the character is or what the world is. If um like I'm still not clear on like what kind of help you want, so I'm just going to give you like some thoughts that were jumping in my head that would be like he would be struggling with reality. He might see kindness as a manipulation technique, rather than something genuine. An act of kindness may be something he perceives in a negative, or maybe like just being out in the public and like hearing an engine backfire could trigger some kind of an engine thing, or two people having a loud discussion could trigger those instincts and the PTSD to come out. So is that the kind of thing you're looking for?
Yeah, since I know a little about PTSD, I have seen some things, but most of the people with PTSD that I've found are like veterans, and they do have these triggers, and I didn't know how to do with the triggers that he could have.
I'm not a veteran, but I do believe uh I've had like PTSD shit, like as far as like flashbacks and things go. And I guess as far as like triggers, for me, even like talking about the situation that causes these flashbacks to happen will, it will trigger the flashbacks, like I said. Um, um, that's just me though. It's like we've been saying this whole time. There are different ways of portraying it, and of course, uh, doing some research on that would help. I would look at non-military PTSD if that's what you're going for. But if you're going for something that has to do with the military in this story or some semblance of it, then it might help to look in that direction. But yeah.
I have complex PTSD from abuse. I mean, if you want to ask me questions, that's okay. I can tell you my experience. I've never been in the military, but one of the sources of my abuse was an ex-husband who was in the military and also had PTSD.
If it's not uncomfortable for you, I would like to know, like, usually, what are common triggers for complex PTSD, in your case, at least? Like to try to build like the character knowing how this happens, most likely.
For me, it can be different things like loud noises. I'm better now with loud noises, but if they're really loud, then it can trigger me, and I go into panic mode, and I don't so much have the flashback, but rather emotionally, I feel like I'm right back in the situation, and I go into panic mode and also defensive mode, where I'm, you know, it's where at first I have flight, where I'm trying to protect myself, and then I feel like, okay, now I have to fight, because um, I feel like, whatever is the cause is now coming after me, and then I start, hyperventilating, and I start getting kind of panicky, and at the same time angry, so that happens. Also, if anything that reminds me of my of my um of my abusers, one thing in particular is when people try to control me, um or tell me how I feel. That really gets me, um and I feel like I'm right back in the abuse, and I see the person doing this not as the person, but as as the original abuser, and so I get really defensive, and I have to do a lot of inner work to tell myself to calm down, and confront the person and tell them, calmly, please don't try to control me. I don't like this, and it makes me feel abused when like I'll say, like, when you blah blah blah, so that help those are some triggers for me. Or if I feel like the person is being abusive in any way, then I feel like I'm right back in the original situation, and it takes everything within me to not react to that person the same way as when the original abuse happened. So those are some triggers for me.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
And hopefully that was helpful for you, Peter. Let's see if anyone else has any topics that they'd like help with. I'm glad it was helpful. Alright, we've got about an hour still left of the workshop. If there isn't any other topics, well, if anyone does come up with any topics, feel free to interrupt me. But I think we'll go back to reading the script that we started reading last week. I very much enjoyed it. Called Wheels Come Off. I'm going to open it up and screen share it. And I think we were on page 20. Let me double check. Page 20, yeah. I can't remember who was here last week. And if possible, I'll try and do the same casting. If anyone would like to read, please feel free to volunteer.
I can't see the
I'm just about to share the screen. I've not shared it yet.
okay.
Hang on. I'm just trying to find the place.
I would read, but I am kind of also in the middle of food, so take
No
that fact.
worries. Is that the one I want? No, it isn't. That is. There we go. Right, hopefully you can all see my screen. Let me just check who we had last week. I took direction last week. I'm happy to do that again. We will have Dachia, are you happy to read? Oh, Dachia's not here anymore. I didn't see them leave. That'll be why they didn't answer. Kev, are you happy to read again?
I'll read.
Yeah, so I'll just go through who we had last week first.
How long are you guys planning to read? Because I might leave in like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay,
That's
if you have to leave before we finish, we can switch you out. That's fine. So I'll give you Carla again.
Okay.
And Paul, are you happy to read?
I don't think Paul's gone.
Oh, Paul's gone. Oh man. Okay. In that case, we have one person from last week. We will give Michelle Manuela. We have Tony. He would like to be a small robot.
I'm not Robot Willow yet, but I'll still be a robot.
Thank you, Willow. Who else do we have? I was meant to read the next 20 or so pages, so that I knew who was coming up. We have a T4 apparently. Who would like to be T4? Just one more part,
If
please.
if my audio is okay, I can be.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you, B. Chiquita.
By the
I
way,
think I
what's the
got
name
that
of
right.
this?
Who, me?
What's the name of the script?
Oh, this is called Wheels Come Off. It was on the blacklist a
Okay.
couple of years ago.
Okay.
Alright, and I will take direction. So hopefully, can everyone see the script?
Yep.
Wonderful. In that case, we shall go in a few seconds. Interior, building, hallway, morning. Manuela pushes Carla out of the apartment. Tony is in her backpack, peeking over her shoulder. We pass a broken elevator. The elevator doors have a handmade sign in Manuela's handwriting that reads, "Piece of poop," stuck to it. Each strip of tape holding it up is a different colour. Cans and metal items are tied to the stair doors. It's the makeshift alarm system. The door is also blocked with piles of random stuff for safety. No one coming up the stairs could access this floor without major effort or alerting them. Manuela works on removing a stack of things. Once it's clear, she pops the door open and wheels Carla inside. So for context, Carla is Manuela's mum and she's a wheelchair user. And this is the apocalypse, sorry. Interior, building, stairwell, continuous. There's a handmade... I read this, didn't I? I remember reading this. No.
Even if
Okay,
you
but...
haven't read it yet.
Alright, yeah,
You said there's only...
Fair enough. There's a handmade pulley system dangling over the open space in the middle of the staircase. It's a much more complicated and sturdy version of the pulley system they have in the tub. Manuela straps a chair to the pulley system, then wraps a rope around her wrist for better grip. Tony holds on to the end.
On 3. Everyone good?
Yes, Ella.
1, 2, 3.
The pulley lifts off the ground. We struggle to get it over the railing, but manage. Carla is suspended 3 stories up.
Coming down.
Tony lets go of more rope than he should. Carla plunges fast. Manuela leans back and digs her heels in, stopping the fall.
Whoa, slow. Why do we have to go over this every time?
Slow. Yes, Ella.
You good?
Absolutely goddamn peachy. Always had a thing for near-death experiences.
Okay, trying this again. Slow.
Manuela lets go of some rope and Carla moves down at a more reasonable speed this time. They get Carla to the ground. Exterior street, later. Manuela peeks out and checks. Clear. She fully removes those slats of wood covering the entrance to the back alley. Wheels Carla out to the sidewalk, then covers the entrance again.
We went that way the other night. Checked everything, picked clean.
How about the buildings that way?
Mostly commercial. Usually nothing to eat in those.
The neighborhood a few blocks that way?
We went there 3 weeks ago.
Let's check it out again.
Why? We're not going to find stuff we didn't before.
Maybe we missed something.
I am the one looking, and I didn't miss anything. What we need to do is to go further out.
Carla ignores her plea and starts wheeling herself in the direction she pointed to. Tony moves ahead, clearing any debris in her way. Manuela silently grumbles but follows. We get to see the state of a city for the first time. It's destroyed, not by a blast, but by years of chaos and looting. Exterior, bougie neighborhood, morning. Wrecked houses with blown-out windows, graffitied staircases, rammed doors, and burned/destroyed furniture strewn on lawns.
Woo, the land of opportunity.
Carla side-eyes her.
That one.
Distinctly remember checking that one when we were last here.
Let's relive the experience then.
My God, there's nothing here. Why don't you ever listen? This is one exactly why I like coming alone.
Manuela stomps past her and disappears inside. Carla can't access the house. There are steps leading up to the front door.
Go with her.
You'd be alone, Carla.
She's alone right now, Bender. Oh, I'll find a spot to lie low.
Tony is off. Carla moves to find a place that offers cover. She notices a hole in the concrete, but thinks she can push past it. She can't. One of her front wheels gets stuck and the chair tips over, sending her flying to the ground face first. She slams her forehead onto the pavement and instantly bleeds. Carla is now stuck, injured, and completely exposed. Interior bougie house, kitchen, morning. Manuela grumbles, opening cupboard she knows she's checked. Empty. She stomps out in her huff, but backtracks when something sounds different. She taps her foot around. There's a hollow spot. She looks closer and finds a latch. It's the same color as the floor. It's impossible to see unless you're looking for it. She opens it and walks down the dark stairs. Interior, bougie house, basement, morning. Manuela cranks her handheld solar flashlight and lights up the space. A sea of wine bottles gleam back at her. She dusts off some labels. It's nice wine. Something rustles. She points the flashlight around the room.
Hello?
The rustling is behind her now. Manuela carefully digs into her pocket and pulls out the tactical knife she always has on her. Manuela turns, knife extended. Rustling moves closer.
Hello?
No, next line. I'm small.
Okay. I'm small, but I carry a lot of anger inside. I sharpen this knife every other day. Look, pal, morning's not going great, so don't mess with me.
The rustling keeps approaching. She pans, illuminating where the noise came from. Beat. So much fucking tension. She walks deeper into the wine cellar. Behind a rack, she finds a T4 robot, Tony, but with the height and build of a man. Clumsily struggling to untangle his feet from a sleeping bag. Manuela relaxes and puts the knife back in her... Ooh. What happened there? And puts the knife back in her pocket.
Jesus fudge. You nearly gave me a heart attack.
Manuela looked at the T4's feet and kneels to secure him.
Intruder.
Keep going.
Intruder. Intruder.
I'm trying to help you.
The T4 stops to process for a beat.
Help would be much appreciated. Intruder.
Stop screaming then.
Manuela untangles him and he can move freely again.
There.
Thank you, intruder.
Stop calling me that.
I'm Tony.
Well aware.
How can I be of assistance today?
Anything good down there?
Manuela walks further into the cellar. The robot follows.
These preferences have not been uploaded to your profile. I am incapable of knowing what you deem good. Please update profile.
I really need to stop trying to have conversations with you guys.
The light glistens against metal. There's a shelf with a couple dozen cans on it. Her face lights up. She runs over. It's things normally paired with wine. Olives, cockles, clams, mackerel, cod liver, sardines, anchovies, octopus, mussels, and scallops. Manuela's face contorts in disgust.
Didn't think we could do worse than canned bread.
Manuela starts to stuff her bag. As she does, her flashlight catches things on another shelf. There's sleeping bag, water, some weapons, a couple flashlights. Most of those are worn and dirty. They haven't been here long like the cans.
How did you get down here?
While she asks the question, she moves the flashlight down the wall. That's when she sees the writing. It's dozens of verses from the new Book of Morley. They all revolve around stealing, thieves, and the punishments required. Angle on key words: flog, cut, prophet of Yeshua, hand, steal, plunder, thief, sin, execution, stoning, repent.
Eric instructed me.
She's heard that name before. When it clicks, she walked into the lion's den. Shit. She quickly grabs the last few cans.
I'm sorry, but I have to do this. I have a friend who needs a new battery.
Manuela opens the T4's back panel.
Intruder has made an authorized access to control panel.
Dad made both of your batteries the same size and same ports. Yours is just higher voltage than his.
Manuela finds the battery slot.
I'm so sorry.
The T4 goes dead. Manuela runs to the stairs. Interior bougie house kitchen continuous. Manuela emerges from the basement to find Tony staring.
What are you doing in here? You should be with Mom.
Manuela heads for the entrance. Tony follows.
Tony,
Sorry. Carla sent me to find you.
I've told you not to leave her alone. I found a decent haul and this. But we need to go right now. I think someone lives here now. Come on, move.
Exterior bougie house continuous.
Ma, you won, okay? Just, Mom.
Manuela hears whistling as she approaches the door. Tony trails behind her. When she exits, she finds blood running down Carla's face, and Eric with his spiked mace club jammed into her throat. Eric is a wheeler, but he also likes to do his own thing. He often roams and catches people alone. We
I
didn't
don't
give
think we
Eric
have
anyone.
Yeah. Well, V Chiquita's done as P4, right?
I guess so, actually, that's a good point. Chiquita, could you read Eric as well for us, please?
Yes. About
Thank
damn time you joined us.
Manny,
did
take
you
it.
do?
She was already bleeding when I found her.
Liar, what did you do?
She steps forward. Eric
Tell
digs
her.
deeper. Deeper into Kyla's boat.
Tell her.
Chair flipped. I fell. He's telling the truth. He's a good guy. He helped me back on the chair.
Been keeping tabs on you. You got a damn nice setup. Too nice to happen without stealing. I just hadn't caught you yet. Least not till now.
Yep, you got me. I'm the thief, though not her.
Manuela moves closer, backpack extended, and sneaks her hand in her pocket. Eric notices a battery in her hand with the bag.
Is that from...
It's evident Eric cares deeply about the T4. Manuela gets what he's talking about.
He's just powered off.
Thief, you broke him.
Manuela panics.
No, he's fine. You just need to put this back in.
Manuela, run. It's okay.
Manuela ignores Carla's words.
Bullshit.
I'm sorry. Stealing is wrong. Let her go. Didn't do anything. Here's the battery.
Stop talking and go.
All you have to do is install it again. Promise. You didn't break your rules. I did.
Shut the fuck up. Just leave me.
Eric considers, then lifts the club and walks to Manuela. When he's within arm's reach, Manuela pulls out her knife and stabs him twice in the upper thigh. Eric screams and falls to the ground. Manuela jumps over him and runs to the chair.
I'm killing you both.
Tony, don't run.
Manuela tries to push the chair, but the front wheel is twisted. It broke when Carla fell. Instinctively, Manuela forces the chair onto its two back wheels and runs. She looks over her shoulder. Tony, unable to keep up, falls behind.
I have to get him.
Manuela stops the chair, doubles back, and scoops Tony up. She hands him to Carla, who puts him on her lap. They run. Manuela looks back. Eric is after them, but he's limping hard. If she just keeps going, he won't be able to catch up. Exterior, bougie neighborhood, morning. When you turn a corner, Manuela sees a huge house with an open garage door. She dashes towards it. Interior, bougie house number 2, garage, continuous. Manuela wheels them inside and tries to tug on the door to shut it. It's rusted and stuck.
Come on, move.
Manuela yanks harder. Tony and Carla anxiously look on.
I'm slicing your gimpy mama up. Open, you bitch.
Manuela strains and the door finally budges. She slams it shut, but thrown into darkness.
Then I'm bringing you in as the stealer you are. Don't think I'm not finding you.
Hello, would you?
Shh. The three sit in the darkness. His rambling sounds closer.
Where are you? Give me my shit back.
Eric keeps screaming as he walks past the house. Manuela cranks the flashlight when they can barely hear him anymore.
You should stay here for a bit.
Yeah,
Manuela sits on the floor and points the flashlight at the front wheel. There's no fixing that.
How does it look?
Pretty terrible.
That's not great.
Not even a little.
Manuela tries to play it up and try to worry, but she knows they're fucked without a functioning wheelchair. We linger on this sentiment for a beat. The darkness of the room helps hide the concern painted on Manuela's face from Carla. Manuela pushes the fear back down, jumps to her feet, and points a flashlight at Carla's. She's bleeding profusely.
That's pretty terrible, too.
It's just a paper cut. Doesn't even hurt.
Looks deep, though. We have to clean it. Can't afford you getting an infection or something dumb. There's food in there. Eat. Gonna see if I can find something to handle that while we wait.
He's still out there.
He's way past us. I'll be careful, promise. Stay with her. I mean it.
Interior bougie house number 2, morning. Manuela ransacks kitchen cupboards. Manuela digs through the home office drawers. Manuela rummages in hallway closets. Interior bougie house number 2, bedroom, morning. Manuela opens the door. She half screams but covers her mouth. Her body lies on the bed. They've been dead for years, but the gun is still in its hand. Self-inflicted. She shakes it off and walks to the bathroom.
I'm sorry. I need stuff. I'm sorry.
Manuela looks through the drawers and cabinet. She finds a few stray makeup removal cotton pads. She stuffs them in her pocket. That's about all that's left in there. Interior bougie house number 2, garage, morning. Manuela walks in on one of Carla's and Tony's bickering sessions.
No, you can't assess me. You glorified Roomba. Get off me.
No luck. No alcohol, disinfectants, or meds. All I found was this. It'll help clean somehow, I guess. Maybe even plug it in.
Manuela picks Tony up and places him on the ground.
Get me water from the bag.
I'm getting a lot of background noise. Kevin, I
Hold
think
the
that's from you.
flashlight up here.
Carla point.
Carla,
They're not for me.
Who is that? Oyster, can you mute your mic, please? We're getting a lot of background noise from you. Nice to have you here, Oyster. We're just reading the script called Wheels Come Off. You're welcome to talk in the chat. Where were we?
Carla points the flashlight.
Oh yeah, thank you. Carla points a flashlight at her face and squints. The light blinds her. Manuela grabs the water bottle from Tony.
Lean your head back.
Manuela pours water on Carla's face, and it clears the blood just enough that she gets to see the wound for the first time. It fills back up with blood almost immediately.
Ma, this is gnarly. We have to get back. I can at least try to help with stuff we have.
No, he's probably close. We can't move fast with the chair like this.
He's gone.
Said no. No.
Then let me go and bring stuff here. I can be back in 20 minutes, 15 if I run fast enough.
You're not going anywhere alone.
Then what? What do you want me to do? Do I just sit here and watch you freaking bleed?
Be very careful with your tone.
Screw this. I'm going. You two wait here. I'll be back.
Money, Manuela. Fuck. Go with her.
I cannot do that, Carla.
Why not?
Ella told me to stay with you.
And I'm telling you to go with her.
You are hurt, Carla. I will not leave you.
Not even C3PO will listen to me. Great.
Exterior street, morning. Manuela runs through alleys. Manuela cuts through gardens and backyards. Manuela runs through smaller streets, anything to go undetected. Exterior street, morning. Manuela looks up to see a plume of black smoke filling the sky. She knots her brow in confusion, then it hits her.
No, 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 no!
Manuela runs faster than she's ever run. She turns a corner to their street to find their building engulfed in flames.
No, no, no!
Manuela runs to the building, but Eric is exiting the alley. She ducks. He lights wood and kindling by the entrance, and limps away while giving the building the finger. She hides and cries. Everything they owned, their entire world is burning. Exterior street, day. Manuela walks down street, stopping and dejected. Interior bougie house 2, garage, day. Manuela runs inside, weeping, and clings to Carla.
What happened?
Manuela cries harder. She's inconsolable.
Talk to me.
All gone. All of it.
Interior bougie house number 2, garage, afternoon. Manuela is curled up in fetal on the floor. She's not asleep, just heartbroken.
That was my only photo of Dad.
What?
Back in the apartment. What if I forgot what he looks like?
Come here.
Carla opens her arms. Manuela slides into them and cries.
That place took years.
I'm not going to tell you it doesn't suck ass because it does. And we'll find another one. Plenty of fine real estate to go around these days. We'll be okay. We always are. And I have a feeling no one's been lining up to raid office supply stores. Gotta be crates of notebooks out there somewhere.
Manuela glosses right over that last part.
Took me 5 freaking weeks to find all the stuff for that pulley. 2 to build it. A week for the toaster. The solar bank. 4 months. I hate him.
Carla kisses the top of her head. Unbeknownst to Manuela, Carla's strong facade quietly crumbles. If only for a moment, Carla allows her fear, the anger, the sadness to seep through. She stills herself again. They fall into silence.
Money. I need to use the bathroom.
Manuela inhales and exhales deeply, then stands.
I've got to scout the place.
Interior, bougie house 2, afternoon. Manuela opens doors, looking for a bathroom. She goes way down the hallway and gets lucky on her 6th attempt. Manuela lifts the toilet and immediately regrets it. She gags, drops it, and exits the bathroom. Manuela rests her head against the wall. Beat. She kicks the wall and continues to kick it until her foot goes through the plaster. Now that she's got that out of her system, she takes a sobering breath. She's back in action. Manuela heads back to the garage, walking with purpose. Interior bougie house number 2, garage, continuous.
I wish I could say the opposite, but I got zero good news. There's only one bathroom on the first floor. It's way down the hall, and it's foul. You're gonna have to not look.
Manuela drags the chair to the door connecting to the house. There's 3 steps, and the chair is too wide for the door.
We can't bring it inside.
The long, complicated plan is you get off the chair, we lift you up the stairs, I break the chair down, I carry it inside, get you way back, get you back on the chair, get you all the way down the hallway, only using the back wheels. I then get you off the chair again because it doesn't fit through the bathroom door either. Carry you into the bathroom, then carry you out of the bathroom and lift you onto the chair again.
And the short, not complicated one?
Right here.
Interior baby house number 2, bedroom. Continuous. Manuela walks into the bedroom with a dead body.
I'm so sorry.
She pushes the corpse off the bed, quickly covers it with a duvet, then yanks a blood-stained top sheet and takes it. Interior baby house 2, garage. Continuous.
Short plan is we get you off the chair, you sit on this, I'll drag you all the way there.
That sheet has seen better days.
We all have. Easy or complicated.
Short plan it is.
Interior baby house number 2, hallway. Continuous. Carla sits on the sheet. Manuela pulls her and the sheet down the hallway towards the bathroom. Soundtrack: El Aldan featuring Marlon Rodriguez by Tiger Club. Interior theatre stage night fantasy. A glamorous nutcracker set. It's the land of the sweets. Manuela, playing the lead, enters in an immaculate outfit. She pulls a toy chest full of larger-than-life toys. Carla sits in the chest, dressed as the Nutcracker. Manuela helps Carla out of the chest. A swarm of ballerinas join them, but instead of performing a typical Nutcracker Spanish chocolate dance ballet, we do a hip-hop routine to match the song. Eric, dressed as the evil Mouse King, runs on stage. A group of wheelers dressed as evil mice join as his entourage. Eric chases Carla and Manuela around, but the ballerinas protect the woman from Eric and the gang. Carla hops into the toy chest. Manuela pulls her around the stage while trying to avoid Eric. The dancers pin Eric and the wheelers down, then begin to attack them as Manuela pulls Carla off stage. They make their escape. The wheelers bleed on stage. Match cut to interior bougie house to living room sunset. Carla lies sideways on a blood-stained mattress. Manuela has rolled down from the bedroom to the living room. Manuela sits with Tony. His battery indicator blinks red.
You're gonna have to shut off while I trade these out, okay?
Okay, Ella. Powering off.
Manuela opens the back panel and removes the old battery. She stares at the new model. It's labeled with the Cortex Robotics logo. She runs her fingers over the name before inserting it. She waits. Tony doesn't immediately boot up.
Oh, Tone.
Silence. He finally restarts.
Hi, Ella.
How's it looking?
Running diagnostics. Battery health. Good.
Well, it's not excellent, but it's better than poor, and it's a newer battery anyway, so progress?
Thank you, Ella.
Of course, dude. We need to finish setting up.
They continue blocking broken windows and blown up entryways.
I don't know how I can make this any better. Garage was safer and warmer. Maybe we should go back in there. We'll go to the garage, at least for tonight.
Manuela walks past the mattress. Carla reaches up and grabs her. Tony shifts things, piling them on windows and doors.
Stop it.
I have to.
Lay down.
She lies down. They look at each other. Carla scans her face.
When did you get so big?
Ma, I gotta.
be still for 5 minutes, would you?
459, 458, 457, 456.
You're such a fucking brat.
Wonder who I got that from.
Definitely not me.
Of course not.
We're fine tonight. We're fine for tonight.
We're exposed. We'll be safer in the garage. No one's opening that big door, at least not without us hearing it. And I can block the entrance to the small door. It's the best place in this whole house.
We're staying here.
Sleeping here is stupid, but you?
My back hurts, my neck is sore, my head's throbbing. I'll have to use the bathroom at least once more tonight, and I can't drag myself up and down those steps the 3 more times it would take to make that happen. If you want to go to the garage, fine, but I'm staying here.
I'm sorry, I didn't. I thought you should have said.
It's okay. I'm telling you now. Massive murder size stains aside, the mattress isn't half bad. I should be fine if I get in a few hours.
Sleep. I'll keep watch.
Nuh-uh. Stay. You need to sleep too.
Carla pulls Manuela to her and holds her against her chest.
One of us has to be awake.
Clearly someone's already died on this thing. What's 2 more murders on this body count? Sleep?
Manuela laughs then sighs. She knows she is and looks tired.
Okay. Only for a little bit, then I'll go on watch.
Okay. Sleep for a little bit.
We have to find a way to fix your chair.
I know.
Or get a new one.
We'll make a pit stop at Wheels R Us.
On our way to the arcade.
In between the arcade and pizza, we'll buy a gazillion tokens, then get a Supreme at Il Capo.
Sounds like a perfect day.
Oh, also, let me know if we need to make a no stabbing rule.
No stabbing. Got it. Next time I'll just let the guy keep chasing me.
Solid plan. You did good today, shithead.
And beat.
Will you tell me something about him?
Manuela?
One thing, please.
I used to take him to parties, and he was the worst dancer in the room. Every single fucking time, no matter where, it was impossible to be worse than him. That man was born with 2 left feet. He was terrible, but I always made him. And he always went along with it.
You took your dad to parties?
That's sort of what happens when you're dating someone.
Yeah, but he was old.
He didn't act like it.
When did you take him to parties?
Always, from the beginning.
So, if you were 19 and he was 46?
See? And you said math wouldn't help you.
What did you dance to?
Salsa, merengue, bachata, reggaeton, all of it. Well, in his case, none of it.
Oh, you and Dad dancing reggaeton? That's a terrible mental
You-
image.
You asked.
Did you?
You said one thing. I gave you one thing. Sorry, I do have to leave in a little bit.
No worries. I
Okay.
think we'll finish soon. Manuela nuzzles into Carla and starts to doze off. Carla forces herself to stay awake and keep an eye out for danger. Interior, Bougie House 2, living room night, fantasy. A nightmare. Manuela's soul leaves her body and starts to float away. She tries to hold on to anything, but her hands can't seem to get a firm grip. She floats to the ceiling and passes right through it. She goes through the floor and into the bedroom on the second story. She can't cling to the bed and the dresser. She can't. She grabs to the corpse's leg. It comes off. She drops to dismembered limb. Manuela makes it to the ceiling and goes through it too. Exterior Bougie House 2, Move, Night, Fantasy. Manuela tries to cling to the chimney but can't hold on. She floats away from the house and up into the sky. Exterior sky, outer space, night. Manuela helplessly floats further away. The houses become a dot on the globe. She drifts through and past clouds and finds herself in outer space, gliding among the stars. She manages to cling to a comet but begins to drag her away from Earth. Eric appears riding a giant rocket. He's chasing Manuela.
Oh, we don't have a moon.
No, you have to let
The
go,
moon.
Lola. Okay, you be Moon, Willow.
You have to let go, Lola.
Manuela turns to find an anthropomorphized moon with a human face, her father's face, staring at her with a smile.
What? Look how freaking high I am.
Manuela moves further from both Earth and the moon. Eric is gaining ground, closer and closer to Manuela.
The more you let it drag you, the further you'll go from where you want to be.
The comet drags Manuela further, but Eric is only a few feet away from her now. Manuela is starting to become agitated.
Let go.
I'm scared, puppy.
We all are.
Manuela inhales and loosens her grip on the comet. She free falls down to earth and screams in terror. The floor gets closer and closer. Just as she's about to hit the ground, Interior Bougie House 2, living room, night. Manuela abruptly wakes up. She's panting, sweaty, and out of breath. She looks at Carla, restlessly sleeping, and feels guilt for actually dozing off. Manuela extracts herself from Carla's embrace and taps Tony on the head, silently indicating he should follow her. Carla readjusts but doesn't wake up. Let's call it there. Thanks for reading, everyone. I will give coins out shortly. But what does everyone think of our script today?
Yeah, I really like the beginning a lot. I kind of wish I was here when we read the beginning part. That was like the 20-minute introduction. I kind of wish it started off like here. I thought this part was really interesting where they're like scavenging for food. Or maybe just I wish we could have seen this a little sooner. I think, maybe like page 10 or something. I think fun dialogue as always. I don't know how I feel about the dream sequences still. Any other thoughts from other people?
I also have like trouble with the dream sequences. It kind of caught me off guard, but they're interesting. I also, since I didn't knew anything about the script from the beginning, I kind of was happy that they still like world builded a bit into what was coming. Like it kind of placed me in this like post-apocalyptic world that they kind of started with.
Yeah, like
And as far as
I was gonna say, like, you didn't feel lost or anything, right? Like jumping in halfway.
No, I didn't get lost. I understood like the family dynamic and everything, and it was quite good. I really like the dialogues. but the dream sequences themselves, they cut me a bit apart.
I really like the post-apocalyptic world. I feel like the portrayal of someone in a wheelchair and being injured, and the chair being the front wheel being either destroyed or or being unable to work at least temporarily was really accurate. Um, the post-apocalyptic world, I think it's quite accurate. I don't understand, even though it said that it happened through neglect and crime. I'm wondering, well, what's happening in this world that the police are incapable of controlling crime, and so I wondered about that. I realize it might be explained further in the script, or even never, and that might be part of the mystery. The flashbacks kind of throw me a little bit because it makes me feel like, where am I now? Even though it's explained, I still feel like, what's going on? But reading it more, it might explain it further. And I really like the dynamic between Manuela and Carla and the little robot Tony. Um, um, the person protecting the fancy house. I feel like that's pretty accurate. Manuela stabbing him in the thigh. I don't know if that's really that accurate, because if you're going to stab someone, you usually go more for the shoulder or the chest or the neck. That's easier to get to. But overall, I felt like it was really good. You know.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Austin says, I wish I came here earlier. First time here and hoping to be more active. Readers did a good job. One thing is clear, if the storyline gives me more to read, I'm reading it and I'm watching it too. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and welcome. Nice to have you here. We are in this server every other week. Saturdays, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. British time. And then we alternate between this server and our sister server, Script Camp, when we focus on screenwriting. We don't normally do screenwriting here, but we did because we didn't have much else to cover. But I'm going to get you the link for next week. Just in case you're not on that server already. What am I looking for? There we go. I think we might call it there, unless anyone has any final topics to look at this week, or any feedback on the script today.
What do you think, Joel?
Yeah, I feel like it's sorry, I was giving my voice a rest. I think it's kind of similar to last week. It seems to be a bit too slow. I am beginning to lose interest. I mean, I did like the touch of the wheel being broken, and like I did smile at like the description of that little hole that to most people would not be anything worth thinking about, and the damage that it did to the wheelchair. I was like, yeah, that's kind of relatable. But yeah, I feel like it needs to like really start picking up speed. Apart from the fire, not a lot happened. I really want to see this moving quicker. Otherwise, I feel like I'm going to be losing interest. Also, it's quite novelistic in the way it's written still. It's, there's a lot of unfilmable still, which I'm surprised by. But I am still enjoying it.
Nice. Yeah, like actually, one line I didn't like, but I could be wrong, is during the suspense scene they write so much fucking tension. I don't know, because I feel like the scene should kind of give that.
Oh yeah, that was awful. I did cringe at that bit as I read it. I was like, "What is this?"
But I agree. I think more conflict. I think scenes ended a little too quickly. I would like to see, like, I think the dream sequences are a really good opportunity to be like in the middle of a dream, it's like, Manuela, wake up. There's someone here, like something to lead the scene to create, more conflict. Like the fire scene was cool, but it just kind of ended with her like crying and going back to her mom. But thanks, Joel, for hosting. I gotta go soon. Thanks,
Yeah, no
everyone.
worries. Thank you all for coming. We'll be in script camp next week, so hopefully you'll be able to join us there. And you've got lots of questions to give me. I like disability. I like talking. So give me stuff. Yeah. And I'm sure I'll see you later in the week. Hopefully at table reads and other events. Thanks all for coming.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye.